Blackburn.
Enterprises.
Thank you for coming to our channel. You could have been anywhere else, but you're here with me. Back with a new series review. I'm JB.
I'm Ken.
And today we're going to be reviewing
Best Man, the Final Chapters.
Yes. Best Man, the Final Chapters. Alright, as usual, when it comes to these series reviews, we got a lot of places we can start. But, who should we start with?
I think we should start with the person that brings them back together, and that is...
Quentin? You forgot his name.
Quentin. I was going to say Terrence Howard,
yeah.
but that's not his name.
Yeah, you're talking about Quentin. Because basically,
yes.
What this does, and one of the things that I love about this, is it picks up right where the Best Man Holiday leaves off. And that's with Terrence, Quentin telling them that, that he's about to get married.
Yeah.
And so we pick up there where we're going to come in and they're going to have this wedding. And so what do you think about the idea of who Quentin's getting married to, which is Ciamara, which is played by Nicole R. Parker?
I didn't think he liked him from the jump.
You think he...
No, he wasn't acting like himself. You know how when your friends get with somebody and they totally change because they with that somebody and you like, that's not who you are. That's not how you talk. Where this new person come from? That's basically what it was with Quentin and, how you say her name?
Ciamara?
Ciamara.
I hope I'm saying that right?
Yes.
Could be wrong.
Sounds correct. And she's like a movie star or something, right?
Well, she's I almost feel like they modeled her maybe after Beyonce or somebody like that. Because I think she had music hits. I think she had movie hits. I think she had a lot going on. So she was like somebody like a Beyonce or Rihanna or somebody like that. I feel like that's how,
Right.
The interesting thing is, and I think this series is just so good, but how different characters look at different situations differently, and the way that those characters look at those things cause them to butt heads. And so you see early on that how Harper, and I feel like Harper is very intuitive.
Yeah,
he picks up on things. Like he did that in the Best Man Holiday. Like he was the only one.
He's
I feel like outside
intuitive of other people's lives, but not his own, which is so weird to me.
I mean,
but that's a lot of people though. That's what
Quentin didn't say that, but Harper noticed that he wasn't himself or whatever.
Yeah.
But Lance was more so like just leave it alone or whatever. So what do you think about that whole idea? And should you just let it go and let people do what they want to do, or should you try to step in and say something?
I think at the end of the day, people are gonna do what they want to do anyway. But you can kind of question cautiously. I think that's the best way to deal with that.
Yeah, that was the best way, but I tell you who wasn't cautious, and that was definitely Shelby.
Oh no!
And Shelby continued,
bold,
definitely a shit starter. That's what she is, and that's her character, and that's definitely what she did. She ended up showing up and crashing the party. And so, what do you think about her character and her making the decision to end up crashing the party? And I guess because she really has feelings.
Yeah,
for
she
Quentin.
really does, and I didn't see that coming because I know the first movie they did a little something whatever,
right.
And then the second movie they did a little something or whatever, and they always had this banter back and forth always,
right.
But I didn't know that she really was feeling him like that. They both have walls up, so they kind of hid that a lot during the movies, I feel like.
Yeah, it kind of, like it was just a physical attraction, so to speak, as opposed. But here's the thing, though. Maybe they were hidden or laying. Shout out to Malcolm D. Lee doing an excellent job with these characters, excellent job with the series. He was laying those breadcrumbs because you notice in I keep forgetting the name of the second movie.
Best Man Holiday.
I keep wanting to call it something else. In that movie, when they end up getting together, Shelby says to him, "Why do we keep doing this?"
Yeah.
That to me says it wasn't just the 2 times that we seen. It wasn't just the end. It wasn't just the end of the Best Man and the end of this movie. Like this is something that they got a situationship basically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so. That was an interesting thing to me, and the whole Quentin actually had feelings for her, obviously because he ended up marrying her and calling the wedding off, and it was going to seem like it was going to be a more of a contentious situation because his dad really wanted him to do that, and he was kind of, I think a lot of him.
He wanted him to marry the Nicole Jessica Parker.
Right, because I think he, and I think a lot of sons, at the end of the day, if we're keeping it honest, I think a lot of sons really want to make our fathers happy when we doing the decisions that we're going to make. And his father's always been a worker. He's always been that person that, puts work first. And so this was going to be a big deal behind, for the business or whatever. And so he didn't want to let his father down by not doing that, And I'll touch on that a little bit, because while we're talking about a whole father, I think that was one aspect. That's another thing. The topics that they cover in this series, real
life applications.
Real life applications. The situation with his dad and being there with his dad, and his dad, getting old and not having everything together like he used to when he's getting old. Look like he might have early stages of Alzheimer's or dementia.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to deal with. And having Shelby there, for him to lean on. What do you think about that situation?
I really love that. Like she was a support system for him and for her with his health and his dad's health. And she was the kind of like, okay, we need to go check on your dad, and we need to like force ourselves upon your dad and make him do what he needs to do, because he's not going to do it otherwise. So I think he needed her to push him into it, because otherwise I think he would have just went home and been like, whatever, dad's fine, and been in denial. Right,
and that's the kind of and the interesting thing is, that's weird, he didn't even see that though, and I wish Shelby would have brought that up, but the way that Quentin was acting about his own health is the same way that his dad was acting.
Yeah, it was.
And it took to later on until finally, he got it, And then I guess the whole idea of, Shelby finally telling him that was his, what was the
daughter was
the daughter, I forgot her name, but that the daughter was exactly his daughter, and that slowly but surely helping him to have a different mindset. What do you think about that, about the whole mindset of just being there, making decisions to be there for your kids and, for your family?
Yeah, because he was trying to have a relationship with her the whole time, and he was buying her the relationship at first, and then, but he wanted her approval as well. And so then she finally called him dad when he was having his second what he thought was a mild heart attack, but it's just a pinched nerve, and that made him like really proud. Right.
And speaking of trying to get the approval, someone that's trying to get approval, I think this whole series is Merch. At the very beginning, you see Merch. He wanted to be the best man, and unfortunately, he's not. And
Which I don't understand why they just didn't have two best men. You can do what you want to do at your wedding.
This is true. This is true. I mean, but
yeah.
It generally that's how it goes. Generally you have one best man, but they could have. But Merch was, he really wanted to be best man. He's, trying to, it really bothers him, but he he doesn't want to fess up and tell everyone that it bothers him. And I think that's overlying, one of the what's the word I'm looking for?
Subplots
the arc. The character arc. Couldn't think of the word. The character arc that he goes on through this series is phenomenal, and that's one of the things, I think one of the key things that plays a part in him, because within the friend crew, and like we was talking about it before the video, we was talking about in the friend crew, he's almost kind of looked at as the little brother, or treated as the little brother. And a lot of times you might, pick a tease or whatever you think it might not be a big deal, right? But it is a big deal, and then the movie was definitely a trigger for that. A reminder that they look at him like just that person that you can tease, that you can, say little things or whatever.
He's always been a pushover, didn't really have a backbone with Shelby and his relationship at the beginning, and then now as he's gotten older, and then that also brought into the whole Karen situation and how he dealt with that versus how Quentin or Tay Diggs would have done it.
I don't know. I mean, that's another subject that they touch on or dealt with or whatever. And dealing from a black man's perspective, like that part again. If you follow our channel, something that I love is cutaways. Like that's why I love Family Guy. And so when I see cutaways in movies, that to me is always funny. But what they did, how they presented it, the realistic thoughts that go through your mind. But if I do this, this might happen. If I do that, that might happen, or whatever. And so, even though it's a a serious situation, they put it in a comical manner or whatever. But when you deal situations like that, when you're a black man and you're dealing with a white woman, and the white woman is seen to be or looks to be in distress, there's a plethora of ways how you could handle the situation, and sometimes you don't know. And that really added more weight to the situation, because in a lot of these other situations, and at that point I think he's starting to learn to step up and to find that voice and be like, look, I can have a voice. I'm not the person that you're just always going to be able to get over on. But in this situation, he kind of still had to step back. And sometimes I guess that's about just having balance. What do you think about that?
I agree. I feel like he and his daughters was there too, so he didn't want to put anybody in danger. So it's that pulling tug on, like, do I stand up for us and or do I just stay back and chill and go home, like he told his wife. He's like, I made it home. And
that's an interesting question, just to cut out real quick. Like, what would you have done if you was in Merch's situation there?
That's a good question.
You got the cab, your daughter's already in the cab. A white lady is saying that, no, this is my cab. Your daughter is about to, she has panic attacks and things of that nature.
This dog.
And you got this dog that's barking, and the cab driver, which I think he was a
raggedy.
Yeah, I don't know.
He should have told her to get out.
Right, because he was I don't know. I'm trying not to say words that I want to say, but the cab driver, to me, made the situation worse.
Yeah.
But comment down below, what would you do if you was in Merch's situation in that particular section? But go ahead, what you were saying about Merch, or we can go ahead and move on to someone that I feel like didn't have as much support as Merch had have needed, and that's his wife Candace.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons that she couldn't support him the way she is because, I think one of the major points in this, and I think actually Harper in the series, Harper says is this adulting shit. Like, adulting be hard. It's hard to be an adult. Yeah. And what she's doing, she's trying to get her doctorate or whatever. She's trying to accomplish things, and so that is
and raise 2 kids,
right? And raise 2 kids, and be a wife, and be a good friend, and all of that. Yeah. And so trying to accomplish that and run a school as well, trying to do all that presents a huge issue, and it's even worse because both of the I forgot how the positions or whatever, but the person that helps her with her dissertation, the first one didn't really believe in her. And she had an interesting kind of character arc too, because as pursuing the doctor, and then when they went to the islands and whatever, she started getting into natural plant medicine and looking at how that can help. And then she goes from the white lady to going to the black man, thinking he's gonna have her back, and then he ended up being basically a predator. So what did you think about Candace and what she had to deal with this season?
She had a lot on her plate, and she really didn't have an outlet. One of the things that I noticed about all of these characters this season is the lack of communication. It's like she couldn't really talk to Merch about what she had going on. Merch was secretly doing something behind her back that he couldn't talk to her about.
Yeah, real quick. Let me get in. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
I'll get into Merch about that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
They just kept on, like, needing to sit down and have conversations, but it's like either time or circumstances wouldn't allow them to have these conversations that they needed to have. And that's one of the conversations they need to have, about how she got assaulted by one of her professors and she wasn't able to connect with her husband and tell him that at the time.
And I think, I hope I'll go ahead and say this now, another point that the series, which is why it's so freaking realistic, like that, and that reminds me of, like, the one thing that I really love about this series, and I think one of the reasons that I love, I always talk about how I love Insecure so much, and I feel like the conversations, the things that are said are so realistic, the things they go through, and it's definitely what happened in the series. The crutch or the problem that you got to go through sometimes is all of us, we want mates that have something going on. You want somebody that got their own money, they got their job, they got, a life of their own, and with the everything has its pros and its cons, and the con to that is you don't have time a lot of times to deal with stuff. You don't have time to talk, maybe have those daily talks like you do. You know what I'm saying? You don't have time to get what's going on with your mate, and that was definitely evident through Merch and Candace, and I think that was evident through a lot of people within the series as well. Let's see. So we talked about Merch. We talked about Candace. Who should I go to next? Should we go through I guess go ahead and go to Jordan?
Yeah, we can go to Jordan.
Or yeah, look, like let's go ahead and go to Jordan. And so I like Jordan and the journey that she went on. She's also dealing with health issues as well,
Yes.
which a lot of us do as we get older. When we get in the middle age range and knowing that we are not as young as we used to be, and so we have to look at life and how we go about doing things a bit differently. And Jordan,
she's been a workaholic the whole time, so you know. When you work constantly and your job pulls you, you don't have time to exercise or worry about what you're eating because you're probably eating on the go. You don't have time to work out and all of that. So that's causing her to have some issues, right?
Yeah, I agree. She is a workaholic, and I mean, but she's goal oriented, yes. And when you're in the positions that she has, it kind of that's what comes with the territory. Like you gotta. It's work. And she's one of those people that, even at the beginning when they was on vacation and they were, supposed to be taking it in and taking the time to relax and do whatever.
She's still working.
She couldn't, MSNBC, I believe it's who she worked for. And, they're constantly calling, they're constantly, checking up on her or whatever. So she really doesn't have time by herself to relax. And I don't even know if she really even knows how to do so. Like it's within her nature to constantly be, doing stuff, you know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes life will force you to have to take a break or whatever. And I think that's what life was doing. And she, she was forcibly trying to, say she had to basically take a break or whatever. She didn't have to go through anything drastic. It was getting to that point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But where she was, I wonder what she was suffering from though. You know what I'm saying? Maybe
it
was just
like
stress.
Migraines or something.
Yeah, that's what it was. Right? Because she was doing it was migraines and but getting to the point where you're suffering from blindness. That was crazy. What do you think about her overall love story situation?
I'm glad you asked me that because I was just about to say, can I just say that they brought up the fact that Will from the island comes to New York from time to time to visit, and I just was waiting on them to go on a date. I was so mad they didn't bring Will back in so they can date because I really liked him. I don't like this other guy.
Here's the thing though, did she?
I'm
trying to remember. Do you think she really liked Will?
I think she was intrigued by Will. Every time she walked away from Will, she was like breathing, exhaling and stuff. She wanted Will. Yeah. She just didn't have time to want Will at the time.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah. Makes sense. But yeah, so what do you think? So you said you didn't like her new love or new love interest, was it Demetrius? What do you think?
Demetrius.
What do you think about him?
I think it was
which is another
past or whatever.
Yeah, it was a blast from the past, and I do like that play or whatever, knowing that everybody else knew him as well. But they also brought on a interesting idea or concept or things to debate over or whatever, or stuff that is important to black people. And it's just the whole idea of investing into prisons.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what he was doing,
Yeah. And she did not agree with that at all.
At all. You know what I'm saying? We want to uplift and, make us better, and owning prisons, and we know the general
population is us.
I mean, prison, the basic, when you're in prison, is crap. It's trash, you know what I'm saying? And they treat us like trash. Everybody knows that is a system that needs to be totally dismantled and reformed and built from the ground up and what have you. And unfortunately, we are the people that a lot of times stuff is inflicted on. And so for him to be making money off of that situation, and he really didn't have, you know what I'm saying? Like he didn't have any remorse.
No.
And it's one thing, like he could have, if he would have looked at it or presented it in a way like, okay, well, these are the prisons that are run. This is how we do what we do at our prisons. We do stuff totally different. Yeah. And then maybe she could have been, maybe looked at it differently, but he did not. What do you think about him and not liking him? And
yeah, I think that's the funny thing is that he's doing this, but then they also touched with Jordan on cancel culture, and like I guess she didn't renew somebody else's show, which and so that
to me was kind of like I feel like it was kind of
like you went for the sister. You let
what's the name of the show that they're reminding me of? Crap, I can't think of it. Yeah, is that what it is? The Real. Thank you. It took us long enough to get there.
Yes, The Real.
Went around the whole dadgum world.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I was talking about that base. I feel like that was kind of similar to the real, you know what I'm saying? Because the real has had a lot of the people that paid attention to the real. They've had a lot of shake up with different
people coming in and out,
coming out, or what have you, or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jordan had to deal with that situation when I guess she fired or didn't renew someone's contract, and then Black Twitter, of course, doing what Black Twitter does, and they was trying to cancel her or had all type of memes and stuff like that. And so, but she ended up, bringing Shelby in or whatever. And I think that's something that really helped Shelby out, because I think at the time Shelby didn't necessarily have a lot going on, right?
And she was trying to change her Real Housewife image anyway. So she wanted to do something different, and she was able to do that through the Real type show, which is called
So what do you think about Shelby and Jordan's relationship, throughout here? I think it's obvious, and we were just talking about that, how it's obvious that they have a relationship, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to the other females, because I was like, based on the book or just based on college or whatever, they went to school together, the other girl, Candace's character and Robin's character, they didn't go to school. So what did you think? What did you think about that?
Right. I think that they were able to maintain their friendship throughout the time, even though her and Merch broke up. They were still friends, and she was trying to tell Shelby, she was one of the main person trying to tell Shelby not to come crash the wedding. I'm not telling you where it is. You was not invited. Please do not show up. And she showed up anyway.
Anyway, she did. She did. She did show up anyway.
Yes.
But I do like how it showed what kind of had the closer relationships. I mean, you even seen that with Merch and Quentin. Like, I feel like at certain them, like Quentin is even with Quentin being the way he is, he's the shit talker. He's the one that's gonna crack jokes. He's the one that's gonna say certain things or whatever.
Yeah.
He still would see stuff when stuff is wrong with Merch.
Yeah, he
you know what I'm saying? He's the one that would try to check up on him and be like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
What
you need anything?
Right.
We got you. Whatever.
Right. And so I guess speaking of people that needed a whole bunch, but it took a while for him to get it. That's Lance's character.
Yes.
And we see that he is still dealing.
Very much so grieving.
Very much still grieving. You know what I'm saying?
He went back to the old Lance.
Yes, he has definitely went back to the old Lance. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with the death of Mia. So
yes. What is life?
Well,
here's what he said.
What do you think about Lance and everything that he dealt with this season?
Oh, poor Lance. He didn't even want to come to the wedding. He didn't want to be around nothing like that. He said, I just want to be out here getting bees and taking names. That's all he wanted to do. And so, but it was good for him to go to the island, because he did see Jasmine, and he saw something in Jasmine that reminded him, I feel like, of Mia. And so
probably her. And the aura. I don't want to say that. I feel like it's a bad word to use, but that's the word that comes to my mind, is her innocence, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Her joyfulness and almost appreciation for life, you know what I'm saying? Like she just had that overall spirit, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like Mia had kind of that same thing going on.
And the funny thing is I feel like Mia knew him. She might have had wind of his reputation back off in college before they got together, because she was telling him how to help his game and stuff when they first got together. But this lady saw him jump in the pool butt naked with all these other females. So, like, I feel like he's drawn to people that can accept his authentic self. Like the girl didn't turn away and was like, oh, I'm not going to talk to him. I'm not going to go running with him.
Because she could have been like,
ugh, I don't want to be around you like some girls will be, But he was drawn to her, and I'm glad that they reconnected later on.
Okay. And speaking of reconnection, eventually, I mean, it took a while, but but definitely was a reconnection that needed to take place between Lance and his son LJ. And that is one of the most poignant. Is that the correct word to use? I don't know, but poignant points dealing with this season. And I feel like one thing that I could definitely appreciate is them keeping Lance's character consistent with who Lance is. Like, even when certain people was finding out about Lance, about LJ, and and his lifestyle and him choosing to be non-binary, a lot of them, like everybody had the reaction like once your dad find out, and, and I think in some other stories, I feel like they would have not done it this way. They would have had Lance maybe be mad just for a brief little minute, and okay, I'm over it, son. I love you. You know what I'm saying? But no, that wasn't it. And Lance's character, I feel like they were authentic with that. Like Lance's character is not gonna be like that.
No.
And he was
Because he's a football person. He wants his son to follow in his footsteps. B, because he's like really into church and Christianity and things like that. So that totally goes against all the stuff that he believes in.
Yeah, and he's an A. No, I was gonna say A personality.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he's the manly man. He's super traditional.
Yes, he is.
You know, when it comes to things or whatever. So him finding out about that and looking at that, you knew that Lance was not going to be happy about that situation. So what do you think about how, you know, everything that happened, you know what I'm saying, and him dealing with it, and how he treated LJ, you know?
Yeah, it took for something almost traumatic to happen for him to really ask for grace and ask for understanding within the situation. Because at first he was not. He was like, he just kept on, he was in denial, almost like he was when Mia was sick. Like, no, he's going to come around. He's going to, you know, he don't know what he want right now. He's, you know, he's still young, blah, blah, blah. But it took for something devastating to almost happen for him to really, same way. He was, like you said, tried and true to himself.
Yeah, I think that is it's a deep, I'm trying to say it without ruffling too many feathers, but it's just, that's what I think a lot of people that those people that grew up in the church and that's all they know. They've been in church, they're born and raised in the church or whatever. And so when you grapple with the idea, you know, of what the Bible says and what God says and what your understanding is, and sometimes I think that puts you in a narrow view of things and how that is. And life comes along and it comes and challenges you and challenges your views or whatever. And you might think that, you know, this stuff that I was taught this whole time, the 20, 30 years that I was in church, might not necessarily been the right thing. And I think sometimes it takes stuff like that, like, you know, dealing with his wife and, you know, and dealing with his son to be like, you know, maybe how the outlook that I have on life or how I'm looking at things might not necessarily be the best thing.
Yeah.
Agree?
I agree. I definitely agree.
You sure about that?
Yes, I do. Because, I mean, his son so eloquently broke it down. Like, okay, so if God loves all, Jesus loves everybody, everybody's his children, why are they saying, like, he doesn't love me, though? If he loves everybody. That doesn't make sense to me. So, yeah.
All right, so speaking of people that had to learn and deal with a whole bunch, this series, I guess that would be arguably the main character, and that character is Harper.
Yeah.
And definitely his wife, Robin. So they dealt with a lot. So I'll start with let's start with the whole idea of the book becoming a movie. Yes. And I think because and I had to basically go back and watch the Best Man Holidays because I had blocked out, I guess mentally I blocked a whole lot of stuff of that out because I had just remembered that movie just being sad. So a lot of it I didn't remember, like I just mentally blocked it out or whatever. But I think because of how things went down in the Best Man Holiday, when he's trying to, you know, the whole idea of writing a book on Lance or whatever, he wanted to make sure that, well, at least this time that I do it right, that everybody's blessed. You know, everybody's blessed, and that it doesn't look like I'm being sneaky, which is what a lot of times it looks like he's being, because he has a hard time being direct with people. Like it's like
Capricorn.
So you think Capricorns have a problem being direct?
When it comes to like that type of stuff, like having hard conversations or.
Comment down below if you think Capricorns have a hard time being direct. I don't know if I agree with that. However, in particular to Harper's character, he does have a hard time of being direct or being straightforward about, you know, what he's dealing with. So what do you think about the idea that he wanted to make sure that everybody was okay with the idea of the book being adapted to a movie?
I think that's the best way to do it, because with Unfinished Business, the book, it ruffled a lot of feathers and brought out a lot of stuff, because he brought in people's personal, like what really happened, whatever. And then when he did Lance's book, or was about to do Lance's book, the same thing happened. Like he didn't tell him, or he didn't get to tell him, so then he found it, he stumbled upon it, and bam, you know, some more tension grew, and he didn't want to lose his best friend. You know, his best friend. They already lost Mia, so he didn't want to risk that again. And so I really appreciated the fact that he wanted everybody's blessing before he went on and made this a movie.
Yes, he did.
Out all their dirty laundry
right.
on the big screen.
All right, and another thing that that Harper has to deal with, or I think that his character deals with, is continuing to chase success, so to speak. At this point, he's accomplished a lot. Like he's had, I think he's had, you know, throughout the story, so to speak, you know, he's had, you know, different books, and you know, he's becoming bigger and you know, and having more successful. And then the first movie is obviously, you know, a hit or whatever. And so if you're into the movie business, and of course if you follow this channel, obviously we're definitely into movies and series or whatever. That's what generally happens. If you have something that's successful in this field, the first question is, okay, so what's season 2, or what's the sequel gonna be like, or what's, you know, it's gonna be like that. And so for him, I think, and to me, I think something that I connected with, and especially as a man. So as a man, you definitely always want to accomplish. You always want to make sure you accomplish and make sure your family's taken care of. And going through what he went through again in Best Man Holiday, he was broke. Yeah. He didn't want to deal with that no more. He was like, the last thing I want to do is deal with you know, being broke and not having the money to do what my, you know, with my family.
Take care of my family.
Right. I feel like let them do what I feel like they deserve to be doing or whatever. So what do you think about the idea of Harper and Robin butting heads over the fact that she felt like he was constantly trying to chase, you know, chase the bag, so to speak?
Yeah, because I mean, Robin probably understands that sometimes when you do get the bag, you change, or you become more distant. Like you said, the money doesn't change you. It was already there, whatever was going on. So I think they already had issues, or they had issues since they got together from the first movie till now. So she was, I think she was scared that whatever, like the more successful he got, the more it was going to bring out their good, bad, and ugly.
I don't. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? What good, bad, and ugly?
With like him still holding on to Jordan, for one. I feel like
So you felt like that him being more
success, then he's more likely to do whatever, as far as, because you know, I got the money to do it, but I don't know. I think that he would have pursued Jordan more so, because now he feels like he's on a level playing field with her. And
I'm gonna disagree. I see what you're saying, but I disagree with that. I don't think, because okay, so y'all comment below. You feel like comment below, why did Robin have an issue with Harper continuing to chase the bag?
Because she always kept saying like, I'm content with our little life that we have right now. Like,
well, was she though? Because to me that was a little hypocritical. Was you content?
I think she was, because she never wanted to move to the big house. She wanted to stay in the.
Or is that just not? Or is that just like? And this is what I've learned or whatever I've learned. I thought I liked Sanaa's character throughout these series. I don't know. I'm definitely ambivalent at this point, because she didn't like it because maybe that's not what she wanted to do. So she was content. But then at one point you were suggesting to move out to the Bahamas or wherever.
Yeah. But that's more of a simple life too, if you think about it. That lady had, because remember when she was talking to the lady in the Bahamas, she was talking about like she's ran this one little hot dog stand. It's not a hot dog stand. Whatever the stand was for like 25 years, and you know, she was just happy cooking for her people in this little community. She wasn't trying to be a big time chef or whatever. And I guess that's how Sanaa was like, oh, I just want to live the simple life. I just want to be with my husband, my family, cook, and you know, be married.
I don't think it's. I think that's not a good word. I don't think it's
the simple life.
Yeah, I don't think that's what it is. I think what I think happened here is their ideologies, you know, showed up. And it showed that they was definitely different, that they was going different ways. And one of the ways that it was showed is definitely when the protests happened. Yes. And that's an interesting thing, especially when it comes to black people, because even when it comes to some serious protesting and how we should go about showing how we disagree with how the country is ran or how black people are being treated. Some people, you know, that's a conversation that
can go
could be argued, and they definitely had different ideas about how this should be done. You know, Robin's character definitely was more like, you know, we have to do what we have to do, and Harper, and that's to me that's more his personality. He's not going to. I feel like he's not headstrong when it comes to that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? As far as that, he more so is gonna sit back and you know, he's not confrontational. That's the word that I'm looking for. He's not at all. But I think Robin can definitely be more confrontational. Yeah. And so So what do you think about that? Like starting, I guess, with them differing on their approaches when it came to, you know, protesting and her getting arrested.
Well, I think it also showed that she has a divine love or connection to black people too. Mm-hmm. Like she kept on saying that the whole series, like she felt at home when they were in the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. She wanted to go out to Ghana. She, you know, wants to stay in Harlem with her people. Like I feel like she may be a little more pro-black when it comes to doing that type of stuff, being in the front lines and showing her daughter, like, you know, Black Lives Matter and this is what we have to do to get justice. More so, and he's like, you know, I can write a book or about social justice or do something like that on the back end and kind of be more quiet about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they definitely had a
different view of it.
Yeah, they definitely had a different view there. And one thing, and I feel like, man, you disagreed on this. I can't remember, but I think another. What's the word? Something that really divided them is Sanaa, but Robin's character felt like that Harper did not give her the same support. That she gave to him. Mm-hmm. And so I was kind of going back and forth as to how I felt about that. And this is my view, and you can tell me you disagree, you agree, whatever. Mm-hmm. On first view, I feel like you see Robin's side, be like, yeah, why are you not, you know, why she want to chase her dreams, she want to, you know, do what she wants to do. Mm-hmm. Why are you not supporting her the way she supported you? And I guess my thoughts on that is, it probably was easier for Robin to support Harper doing those things, because if you remember back in The Best Man, they were talking about how she didn't know what she wanted to do. Like she wanted to do this and she wanted to do that. Like it took her a while to figure out what she wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And when she figured it out, she wanted to be a cook.
Yeah.
Then she was all in. So as she's, you know, going up the ladder and, you know, becoming more successful, you may not have everything all together, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And so it's easier to be there for Harper because you don't got a lot going on.
Right,
you know,
that's true.
And so you can be at, you know, these book signings and be at, you know, these different meetings or whatever it is that Harper has going on.
Yeah.
And so, but when you get to a certain point, and arguably Harper's already at that point, if not higher, she wants the success. Wants him. I mean, she's trying to get to where he is as far as success wise, and she wants him to be there for her. But he's already at a certain point. And so when he's already at that point, it's hard for him to not do that. And you've seen that with, you know, like with the whole argument with the whole Africa and her wanting to move to Africa and he not doing it because he's at a certain level now. So he has to be at these meetings. He has to do, you know, he has to be there. He has to do this. He has to do that. So.
Well, I think one of the things that they did not show or did the characters do not do is to have a conversation like, okay, Jordan's a boss too. So let me, even though, you know, they have a weird triad going on, but he could have called Jordan and been like, okay, Robin's going to Ghana from this time to this time. She wants me to go with her. She really don't ask for much. She really don't ask me to do a lot or whatever when it comes to her career. How would you handle the situation? Then Jordan probably could have said, okay, call the people, tell them that first when you touch down, as soon as that plane land, you're gonna go, you know, you need the meeting to be set up then or whatever. Like they never, the lack of communication is what I'm saying. They don't ever like try to get anybody else's opinion or whatever on anything that they have going on. And like she just asked him to do two things during this series. A, try to talk to the realtor about booking this place that she was trying to get.
He definitely dropped the ball on that.
Yes,
I agree,
and
he did drop the ball on that.
Just go to Ghana for a couple of months with me. And when you come back, you coming back to your
But that's
work.
not
And the fact that, like Josh, you were saying that he's up here, then you kind of have a ball in your court once you get to a certain level too. Like when you down here, you kind of have to listen to them and do what they say and move like they tell you to move. But once you get up here, then you can kind of set your own schedule and kind of work around stuff at that point. Skype or whatever, they probably don't Skype, but whatever it's called, you could do that from Ghana, whatever, and still be penciled into the situation.
Okay. I agree with you there. They definitely could have used technology and have a workaround.
But it's
that.
never.
But in the same token,
I don't think that they ever came to like a middle ground on a lot of stuff.
But that like I said, the middle ground or finding middle ground on that would have been, I think, difficult or whatever, because it's one thing to move on the other side of the country, but it's a whole other thing to move to an entire.
Well, I wasn't even thinking, like, I feel like if he would have went on the trip with her to Ghana, then maybe she would have been less likely to move. We don't know though.
Here's another thing too. The cracks were already there.
Yeah, they were. Absolutely.
The cracks
They've been
was already
there since
there.
Best Man Holiday.
Yeah.
The beginning.
Even then, if you go back and look at Best Man Holiday, you see just how they care for the baby and how to be there for the baby and what to do and what not to do.
Yeah,
they disagreed on that.
A lot of stuff.
But lost my thought. She was already out of it. She had already checked out because she was looking at Jaha, I think that's how you say his character. Like she definitely was, like you said, she was emotionally cheating or whatever. So she had already kind of checked out. You know what I'm saying? And then the whole and that's another thing we're not. I don't think you're keeping it 100. You talking about on the front end, it is your idea and what you wanted to do and you wanted to buy that. But one of the main reasons you wanted to do it is just because he was a part of it, though. Like, would she have had that same energy if she wasn't into him as much as she was? I don't think so. Man, but one thing I will say that to me that's not her fault, is she just vibed with him. Yeah. And that's what it was. Like when it comes to a lot of things, how she views things, he viewed them the same way. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so that was, I don't necessarily think that she was doing that intentionally. No. However, it is what it is. The cracks were definitely shown. Yeah, they were. They're shown there, and it came to a head, and it blew up. With the whole.
And I think they tried because they went to counseling. So I feel like nobody, if you all the way out, you're not going to counseling. You're just gonna go on and part ways. So.
Yeah. They did. They did try, but the whole Africa thing, and I don't like she was. This is one thing that I will say, and I feel like a lot of women do. You know what I'm saying? And, I try to look at things from women's perspectives a lot. But this is one thing that I think women do when they don't, they feel like they have this in their back pocket and they can do whatever they do when they want to do. And that's with the kids. And I think that's a bunch of BS. I feel like women, like Sanaa was like, this is my child. So if I want to move to Africa, I can just move to Africa. Yeah. Like, I don't care what you want to do. I'm moving to Africa.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Because she's the mom. And I feel like a lot of moms, they do that. Like when it comes to, I know it's a deep subject or whatever, when it's time to make the decision to not have a baby or have a baby, regardless of what the man wants to do. No, well, this is my kid, again, I know this is a contentious conversation, but it gave me those type of vibes, and that to me, those are the type of vibes that Robin was on. Yeah. And like I said, the cracks was already there. It made it a whole lot worse of a situation, and it definitely got to where it got to be.
Yeah, but I am glad that at the end they were able to still reconcile their friendship or co-parentship or whatever.
Yeah, that is dope.
Yeah, that was cool.
Okay, we'll try to touch on one more thing because I think this video has been long enough as it is, and that's the whole Harper and Jordan situation. Oh. And as Harper said, it's always been complicated. What do you think about that? Maybe I'll get my final thoughts on that. He didn't
try to shoot his shot before they got married. Like I feel like they should try the date or whatever and see where it was gonna go from the jump. And then if it didn't go like they wanted, then just put it in the friend zone and leave it there. That's how I feel like. Because they both had some type of connection towards each other, especially when we first got introduced to them in Best Man. So I don't understand why they didn't try to I don't
know. If it just
kind of like what's his name, Quentin and Shelby. Like try to see if y'all was to be serious.
Everything never. I don't think they ever had the time for things to align. Things never aligned the way that they needed to. And I understand what you're saying to try to make a better effort to see if they can align or if they can't. But I don't think they ever did. And so it'd be interesting. Well, I think this was the final chapter.
Yeah.
But it'd just be interesting or to think about, will they or won't they? You know what I'm saying?
Once she done quit her job and now
type of deal. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so I think that, so y'all can comment down below, like, if y'all think that Harper and Jordan, hypothetically, would try, things later on. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, that last little scene, so to speak, Jordan kind of gave a double-minded answer, basically saying, like, you got all this BS you got to get over, so I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna be the rebound. And then after you say all that, then you give him a sensual kiss on the lips.
Yes, she did.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
But overall, this daggum series was
excellent.
The best.
It was
the best. And when we in doing these series, because we talk about so much, I think we've kind of went away from actually rating. Just overall, just to give our thoughts on what we think about it, with movies, with our movies, right? And with the movies, we try to still give a ratings or whatever. But I've kind of gone away from that when it comes to this series. But this is definitely like
a must see.
A must see, like it's a must see. Like we binge watched this, like we stayed up to like 6 o'clock in the morning watching this. Like the sun was definitely coming up when we finished this. Because we was watching it episode after episode. Malcolm D. Shout out to Malcolm D. Lee. He knows his characters. Everything was consistent. Especially if you go back and you look at how, if you look at Best Man and then you look at Best Man Holiday and you look at this and you see how everything fits together. It fits together so perfect. How he went about doing this and melding everything together with how Best Man Holidays ended and picking up right from there, you know what I'm saying, to continue the story on. You could definitely tell, I feel like that. I feel like he definitely had this story already done or was already working on it and just picked it up like there was never nothing. And shout out to all the characters, so many different emotions.
And can we talk about how beautiful how black don't crack? Like everybody just looks so beautiful and lovely.
Bruh.
They do look the same as they did 15 years ago.
And even if there is some aging, you know what I'm saying, that definitely, which was another, I think, subject matter, is this aging gracefully. They're definitely all aging gracefully, you know what I'm saying? So definitely beautiful melanin throughout this entire series. And if you have not watched it, you need to run to Peacock right now and go binge watch it ASAP. All right, if you want to go ahead and do us a favor, hit that thumbs up button. We definitely appreciate it, and it helps out the channel. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, bruh, what are you doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We definitely appreciate it. And you can see more videos like this one. And if you want to go ahead and do us another favor, you want to go ahead and hit that button that's shaped like a bell. If you want to go ahead and do that, you'll get a notification.
Every time we drop a new video.
And if you want to go ahead and do us one more favor, if you want to go ahead and comment down below. I know we've had a whole heap of things for you to comment on, but you want to give them one last thing?
Have you ever crashed a wedding?
Good question. Good question. Have you ever crashed a wedding? All right, we appreciate every single one of you. And I guess we'll holler at you. Peace.